Do you want to get married in Asia? Do you want to have an Asian girlfriend that's 10, 20, 30 years younger than you are? Well, guess what? It's possible, but it ain't for free. Today I wanted to talk with you about the expectations you have to comply with if you want to be together with an Asian girl. And the principles we're going to discuss in today's video are really universal. They apply to Vietnam, to dating in Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, the Philippines. They apply to all Southeast Asian countries. And I'm really excited to shoot this video because I really want to fill you in on the cold hard truth and on actual requirements that you have to comply with in order to have success dating in Asia. And the first thing I wanted to talk with you about is obviously things you have to give up, because whenever you enter a relationship, whenever you enter a marriage, you have to give up a lot, and people don't understand that. And the people who are not good at being in a relationship, who are not good at being married, they lack one thing, and that is the ability to deliver on expectations. In Western culture, if you marry a Western girl, let's say you're from the West and you marry a Western girl, it's actually very similar to marrying an Asian girl. You have to give up something. Because in order for you to allow a person into your life, you have to free up some time and you have to find commonalities, right? If you don't have commonalities, then it's going to be difficult to have a good time together because, you may not spend any time together, or the time that you spend together is going to be fragile. It's just not going to be good. So if you want to have success dating in the West, you got to give up at least 20% of what you're doing right now. Because again, you got to spend time with your future wife, with your current girlfriend, with your fiance. And if you can't do that, then it's just not for you. You're just not meant to be married, because you may get married, but you may not be able to stay married. And that's assuming that we're, talking about the same culture, same level playing field. If you're dating, a woman in the West, you are from the West, same culture, same religion, same beliefs, same habits. Still, you have to give up something in order to gain something. If you want to gain a family, you want to have kids, then that's how it's going to be. Now, how does that look in Asia? In Asia, it actually looks very differently. You don't just have to give up 20% like you do in the West, because when you come to Asia, things look very differently, right? It's a different culture, it's a different language, it's a different country, different continent, different social grouping, different habits, different environment. And for you to come to Asia, any Western guy that's ever been to Asia knows that living in Asia is fantastic as long as you're willing to adjust. Those who are unwilling to adjust are likely to have a very difficult time living in Asia. And that really translates into the relationship aspect of things as well. And that means if you want to have success, because again, you are importing yourself into a new country, into a new culture, into a new routine. And in order for this to work, in order for you to have success in this cycle, what it really takes from you is to simply give up on a lot, because your past habits may not apply. Your religion is not really that important in Asia, because Asians are Buddhists. They're not like the real Buddhists. Except for, and let me correct here, because other people are going to say, well, you said they're not Buddhists. Well, India, Nepal, Myanmar, like those countries, they follow the real Buddha. But then in countries like China and Vietnam and Thailand, we're talking about the fake Buddha. That's just how it is. But anyway, if you go there and you want to have success dating in those countries, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, if you want to have success dating in those countries, then you have to give up on most of what you have right now, because you're in their country and the girl is not going to adjust for you. Like, you have to adjust to her habits, to her daily routine. And if you can do that, you have a fantastic time, because that is an expectation that she has from you. Anytime you deliver on that expectation, you're going to have a fantastic time. And foreigners are willing to do that, at least in the beginning. When they come to Asia, everything is exciting, everything is exotic, everything is new. People are willing to do that. Oftentimes that works for, the beginning. When you come to Asia, it's exotic, it's great, you want to be there, you want to try things, and everything is so different. So you want to adjust because you want other people to like you, you want to be likable, and you want to have a good time. But unless the things that you're giving up on are actually, based on your own personal willingness to do this for the long term, you're going to fall back into your old habits and eventually change, and you want to have things like you had in your previous life, which could possibly be in the West. Maybe you don't just want to have the Western life, but you want to have certain Western principles, certain beliefs, certain habits, certain cultural behaviors apply in Asia, which is just not the case. Because you have to understand that you're moving there and the girl is still in her environment, her expectations are very different than the expectations you would have to, deal with in case you are together with a Western woman. It would be very different. A practical example for this is, a man looking to get married to a Thai woman in Thailand. And what happens there is, in order for this to work, you actually have to go up to the family and you have to tell them, hey, can I marry your daughter? Because again, we're talking about conservative culture, we're talking about traditional values, and it was actually like that in the West too. Many decades ago, mid 20th century, before mid 20th century, you walked up to the parents, you had to ask for the daughter. You couldn't just go there and just take the daughter. It didn't work like that. You needed the blessings, you needed the permission of the father, the mother, the whole family, and then once you got that, you were allowed to marry the daughter. And that doesn't really apply in Western culture anymore. Like nowadays, a woman just sleeps around whenever she wants. Same with the guys, the guy just, sleeps around whenever he wants, And that's why relationships in the West don't work anymore, and people don't understand that because there's no conservatism anymore. There is no, values anymore, no core foundational values anymore. And that's why it's just not attractive to get married to a Western woman. Who wants to get married to a woman that had already 8 relationships, has slept with 30 guys? I mean, it's up to them. So a lot of people want to go to Asia, but when you go to Asia, if you want to get married to a Thai woman, then you got to ask the parents if you can marry her, and they're going to say yes, but here are some expectations that we have. You need to present us with gifts. You need to gift us stuff. We're talking about gold, we're talking about potentially assets, depending on how rich the family is, depending on how poor the family is, depending on how deeply involved in the culture the family is. I can't tell you exactly what the family expects, but there are certain cultural expectations that the guy has to fulfill before he can marry the daughter. And if you don't comply with that, chances are the parents will not allow you to marry their daughter. That is the same in China, in Thailand, in Vietnam. I'm not sure about Indonesia. And we can be as ignorant as we want. That is the truth. The difference between you being allowed to marry a girl that's decades younger than you are, or even 10 years younger than you are, something that would be difficult to accomplish in a Western country if you're from the West, is only possible in a developing country because of what you put on the table, the meat that you put on the table. And that's just the cold hard truth of what is required. And if we don't see that, we're kind of walking in the dark, and we are gonna get slapped with unexpected surprises later on that you're gonna have to swallow, and it won't be fun. So it's really important to be aware of those things before you actually marry a girl from an Asian country. I wanted to hit on a final point here, and that is the relationship with an Asian woman is going to be good as long as you comply, as long as you fulfill her expectations. If you want to have a traditional relationship, a traditional marriage, meaning you're going to be the provider, she's going to be the housewife, you can have that in Asia, and you can have that forever, as long as you fulfill your job. You're gonna have her on your side. But the moment you change and get back to your old habits, which you had in the West for I don't know how many years, it may not work, right? But if you want this relationship to work, just focus on her expectations, make sure you're aware of her expectations before you get married, and make sure you understand the family, what they expect from you. Really make sure you understand the whole picture, because it doesn't really do you any good if you wake up one day and witness unexpected surprises, because nobody wants that. So it's really important that you educate yourself, that you're fully aware of the cultural cycle of what is required before you get married, what the family expects from you after marriage, what kind of financial support the family expects, and just in general, what are the cultural expectations, because you're living in their country, you are a guest. Always respect the host country. always respect the host culture, because you're being allowed to stay in their country. And that is a privilege. It's not a guarantee, it's a privilege. And the privilege is going to be there for you until or for as long as you comply. Are you currently dating in Asia? What is your experience? We would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and let us know. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm uploading new videos on digital nomad locations, travel updates, and investment advice several times a week right now. I highly recommend that you grab a free copy of my latest ebook, The Nomad Elite Income Booster, your go-to guide for creating passive income streams using the internet. And if you got some more time left, check out these videos. Thank you for watching.